And do you know what, Stella? In the back of his drawer, he had your letters you wrote him during the war with an elastic band around them. He'd kept them all those years. My wartime experiences started when I was 13, and I went round to my mother's friend's house. While we were there, they put the wireless on. Everybody knew a war was coming. And Neville Chamberlain announced that Germans had invaded Poland and they didn't retreat. And he said, "We are now at war with Germany." And the woman where I was in her house, she said, "You better go home, duck," she said, "because your mother will want to know where you are." So I left her house and I started walking home. There wasn't many people about. I think they were all listening to the wireless. And when we got to our street, there was this man on a bike, and he had a tin helmet on, and he had a gas mask, and he saw me and he came riding over and he shook this bell. He said, "Get under cover, get under cover." Anyway, I ran, and when I got indoors, I went indoors, and my mother was in tears, and she said, "Oh, there you are, you naughty girl. Where have you been, frightening me, worrying me?" She said, so I said, "Well, Mum, you knew where I went. You sent me." And she was upset and crying. She said, another war, because they'd lived through one. When I got to 14, I went to the Labour Exchange and I said, I would like to go to work. And I knew about 10 minutes walk away, there was a factory that made pens. So I thought, that would be nice. I knew one of the girls that worked there. She said, "Oh, it's not bad, quite a good boss." So I went round there and spoke to Mr. Burnham, and I said, "Have you got a vacancy?" He said, "If I can find you a box to stand on," he said, "you can start work. You're not very big, are you?" So I started work on the Monday, and the first job was putting different parts of the pens together. We had to make 60 gross per month of black pens for the Navy, because as the war started, when people were married and lived together, they didn't write to each other, did they? When the men went into the forces, they wanted to write, and therefore they wanted a pen. When the boys at work got called up, they used to say to me, "Will you write to me?" And I did. And when Eddie next door went in, he said, "Will you write to me?" And I did. I wrote to several boys. I used to write and say what film I'd seen, what was going on at work, or so-and-so, do you remember so-and-so when he was working with us? He's got called up and he's gone in the army, or he's gone in the Air Force, or he's gone in the Navy, or he's disappeared. Things like that, mostly about the weather, because that's all you could write about. And even if you only put on it, "Hello, I like you, love you," sign it Stella and sent it, they got an envelope and they'd got a bit of paper in it with something on it. And that is what they wanted, the mail. A morale booster. Somebody cared. Somebody had the time and the patience to write. Near us was an old dance hall. It was called the Palais. So we started going to this place. And sometimes when blokes were on leave, they'd come and have a dance. You could always tell because they got their uniforms on. And one chap came, and he was a lovely dancer, and he always came and asked me to dance with him. Not that I was the best dancer ever, but he liked dancing with me. We were the right height, and we danced. And I said to him, "Would you like me to write you letters?" So he said, "Nope." So I said, "Well, are you married?" He said, "Nope." So I said, "Why can't I write to you?" I said, "I rather like you." So he said, "And I rather like you." He said, "But I'm a submariner." He said, "I work in submarines." He said, "I don't want any wives, I don't want any girlfriends, I don't want any acquaintances, and I don't want letters." He said, "If I go, I go. I don't leave anything behind." I wrote to my sister in Canada when she married a Canadian, and when she died she had 27 boxes full of my letters, every letter I'd ever written her. she kept. And it's the same with Eddie. Eddie next door, he was a milk roundsman. He got called up, and I used to write to him. When he died, his sister went to his funeral. She said, and do you know what, Stella? In the back of his drawer, he had your letters you wrote. You wrote him during the war with an elastic band around them. He'd kept them all those years.